It was one of those hot summer afternoons where the air feels heavy and even the birds seem too tired to sing. My grandpa was out back, leaning on his cane, watching over his pride and joy, a weathered 100-year-old barn that's been in our family for generations. It's the kind of place you can almost hear the past whispering, the creak of old wood, the faint smell of hay, and the stories trapped in every dusty corner. Nobody but our family really goes in there, or at least, that's what we thought earlier. That week, my grandpa had been grumbling about the HOA, the Homeowners Association, poking around more than usual. They'd been sending letters about possible violations, but nothing made sense. Still, on this day, we heard the crunch of tires on gravel and looked up to see the HOA security team pulling right up to the barn. 4 of them, all in matching polos, marching like they were on some mission. Grandpa's eyes narrowed. He wasn't expecting anyone, and nobody had asked permission to be there. They didn't even knock. The tallest one just yanked the barn doors open. Sunlight flooding into a place that had been dim and quiet for decades. Grandpa shouted, demanding to know what they thought they were doing. But before he could take a step, one of the guards froze and raised his hand. "Wait, what is she doing in here?" he said. All of us turned, squinting into the barns. Shadows, and there she was, Karen. Not just any Karen, but the neighbor who'd spent years complaining about our unsightly barn and property standards. She was standing there, caught red-handed with her hands inside one of Grandpa's old storage crates, her face pale like she'd just seen a ghost. The guards exchanged looks, clearly confused. Grandpa's jaw clenched. Whatever was happening, this wasn't about HOA rules anymore. Something else was going on in that barn, and we were about to find out. Karen's eyes darted from the security guards to my grandpa, then to me, like she was searching for a quick excuse. The dust in the air made the sunlight look almost solid, catching on the floating particles as if even the barn itself was holding its breath. Nobody spoke for a few seconds, and the only sound was the old wooden floor creaking under Karen's shoes. Grandpa's barn wasn't just a building. It was a living scrapbook of our family's history. Every shelf and crate held something with a story. There were rusted tools from my great-grandfather's farm days, jars of nails sorted by size, boxes of black and white photos, and even an old safe that nobody had opened in decades. Grandpa always said it wasn't worth opening. Some things are better left alone, he'd mumble. But lately, he'd been spending more time in here. Almost like he was keeping watch over something. Karen had always been curious about that safe. She'd drop hints during neighborhood meetings or make little comments when she saw Grandpa working out back. Once, she even accidentally wandered onto our property and tried to peek through the barn doors. Grandpa never liked her much. After that, the HOA had given her some kind of unofficial power. She always acted like she was in charge, even though she wasn't. Now, here she was, in the one place Grandpa never let anyone enter without him. The security guards looked just as surprised as we were, but they didn't seem to be here for her. They kept talking about reports of unauthorized activity and possible safety violations, words that didn't fit what we were seeing at all. Karen finally opened her mouth, but her voice was shaky. "I was just checking for dangerous items, you know, for the community." She gave a nervous smile, but nobody bought it. Grandpa's grip on his cane tightened. I could see it in his face. There was something inside this barn, something he didn't talk about. And somehow, Karen had gotten too close to it. Whatever this was, the HOA wasn't telling us the whole story. And neither was she. One of the security guards stepped forward, his eyes shifting between Karen and Grandpa like he wasn't sure which one to question first. "We got an anonymous tip," he said slowly, "that something here might be a risk to the neighborhood." His voice was calm, but his posture was tense, like he was expecting trouble. Grandpa let out a dry laugh. A risk? This barn's been standing longer than most of the houses in this town. The only thing dangerous here is the splinters. But I could tell his words were more for buying time than anything else. He didn't like people digging into his business, especially strangers with clipboards and matching badges. Karen crossed her arms and spoke quickly, as if trying to control the narrative. I saw suspicious activity in this barn last week. Lights on at night, strange noises. I thought it was my duty to check. She emphasized the word duty like she was the hero of some neighborhood drama. But that didn't explain why she was elbow-deep in Grandpa's storage crate when they found her. The guards glanced around, their eyes landing on the old safe in the corner. "What's in there?" one of them asked. Grandpa's jaw tightened, and he didn't answer. I'd never seen him look so guarded. It was like the safe was more than just metal and rust. It was a wall between the past and the present. That's when another figure appeared in the doorway. Mr. Ellis, the quiet neighbor from 2 houses down. He rarely spoke to anyone. But now he stepped inside with a strange urgency. "If you open that safe," he said to Grandpa, "you'll regret it. And so will the rest of us." His voice was low, almost a whisper, but everyone heard it. The tension in the barn thickened. Karen shot Mr. Ellis a sharp look, like she knew exactly what he was talking about. The guards exchanged uneasy glances, suddenly less confident about being here. And in that moment, I realized whatever was going on, it wasn't just about an old barn or HOA rules anymore. This was something bigger, and everyone here seemed to know more than they were willing to say. The barn felt smaller now, as if the walls had quietly inched closer while everyone argued. Grandpa's hand rested on the cane, but his knuckles were white. His eyes locked on Mr. Ellis. "You know something," Grandpa said, his voice steady but heavy. Ellis didn't answer, just shifted his weight like he was deciding whether to speak or keep his secrets buried. Karen broke the silence. "If there's nothing to hide, then open the safe," she said, her voice trembling just enough to betray her eagerness. She stepped closer, brushing past the guards, her eyes flicking between the safe and the storage crates, as if she had already mapped the place out in her mind. One of the guards leaned in to his partner. "We're not supposed to force anything unless we see immediate danger," he murmured, but the words only made the tension worse. Immediate danger was starting to feel like it was standing right here with us. Grandpa took a slow breath. "This barn holds 100 years of my family's history," he said, his tone sharper now. "It's not for you or the HOA to decide what stays locked." His words seemed to hang in the dusty air. But I noticed his eyes flicker toward the safe for just a second too long. That's when a faint metallic clink came from somewhere in the barn, not from the safe, but from the far corner where the oldest shelves stood. Everyone froze. Karen's head snapped toward the sound, and even the guards took a step back. Ellis spoke again, this time louder. "You think the safe is the secret," he said, looking directly at me, "but you're looking in the wrong place." His gaze drifted toward the shelves, and a shadow shifted behind them. Too deliberate to be from the sunlight alone. My heart pounded. I couldn't tell if it was an animal, a person, or something else entirely. The guards started moving toward the shelves, but Grandpa suddenly raised his cane like a barrier. "No one touches that," he warned, his voice like stone. And in that instant, I realized whatever was hiding in this barn was about to come to light. Whether any of us were ready for it or not. The barn went so still you could hear the dust settling. The guards hesitated, caught between following orders and obeying Grandpa's warning. Karen, on the other hand, looked like she was about to push right past him until the shelves in the corner gave a faint shudder. As if something behind them was moving. Grandpa's eyes darted toward the sound, then back to me. "Stay behind me," he muttered, though I wasn't sure if it was for my safety or to keep me from seeing whatever was coming next. before anyone could move. The shelves groaned and shifted forward just enough to reveal a narrow gap in the wall. Behind it, in the dim light, I could make out the edge of another door, smaller than the barn's main doors, but solid, reinforced with metal plates. And right there on the floor in front of it, fresh boot prints. Karen gasped softly, which told me she already knew it was there. Ellis stepped forward, his voice low but urgent. "This isn't just your family's history anymore, Jim," he said to Grandpa. "What's in there could drag the whole neighborhood into something they don't understand." The guards finally shook off their hesitation. One of them reached for his radio, muttering about calling for backup. Grandpa snapped, "No one else comes here." His voice was so sharp it made everyone stop. Then came the twist I didn't expect. Ellis turned toward Karen and said, "You weren't supposed to come here today. Not until we were ready." The look on her face wasn't one of denial, but recognition. She glanced at the guards, then at the hidden door, and for the first time, she looked almost afraid. The barn seemed to tighten around us, the old wood groaning in the heat. Outside, a sudden gust of wind rattled the loose panels, sounding like a warning. Whatever was behind that door wasn't just a family secret. It was something people had been watching, waiting.